Hello everyone, Carolyn here and welcome to today's tutorial. Today I will be showing you my own original design, the twisted fan bracelet. On these renditions I did use 10 different colored band combos. I'm not going to be using that many today, but I will show you on this bracelet the band placement. And so for today you will need a total of 10 pin bars. I do recommend that you do a full wrap because if you only have the bottom looms, you only get 2 full fans and it just doesn't look as good as if you have the capability of doing a full wrap. So I do recommend 7 looms versus just the 4, but this configuration will be 2 side by side and then going up in the standard staggered configuration all the way to the side. So on today's bracelet, for the perimeters, I'm going to be using brown. So without further ado, let's get started. You'll need 2 bands placed across your 2 center pin bars, and then you're just simply going to work up at an angle to the right using 1 band, or excuse me, to the left, using 1 band all the way to the edge, and do the same thing on the right hand side. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I do believe today's tutorial will be a bit on the long side just because of the band placements and also the looping process, but I will make it as short as I possibly can, keeping in mind to show enough so y'all can rewind if you need to. Okay, so you want to continue with that all the way to the end until you get to the 5th pin bar from the top. So you want to stop at the 5th. Alright, so I'm going to continue this the rest of the way up, and I'll be back at the end of the loom to show you how to close it up. Alright everybody, so I've made it to the top of my loom, and again you should stop the 5th pin from the top. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that should be the last band that you place, and then you simply want to work your perimeter up at a diagonal to the center 2 double pins. Oop, sorry, scooching it. I'm sorry about the weird camera angle. I'm making a big bracelet, so it's a little awkward on the filming. Again, on the same thing on your right, just mirror image, going in and creating that border. Alright, so that's what the top should look like. So now we're ready for our next band placement step. And in this bracelet, it is the X's done in black, going around the perimeter of the fans, and I'm going to be using white today. So what you want to start by doing is on your first pin bar, going up a peg, and then laying 4 diagonal bands straight across the loom. So it's 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to do the same thing on the right hand side. Go to the 10th pin bar, go up a peg, and then go in 4. Alright, and now that you've went in on both sides, you can go ahead and lay a band across. And then you're going to repeat the same process, except you're going to mirror image the angles. So now you're going to be going up and to the left instead of up and to the right. And then mirror image on the right, up and to the right instead of up and to the left. Okay. And now that we've closed that off, we want to repeat the same process. So we start back on the first, go up a peg, and then go diagonally up for 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to repeat the same process, just mirror image on the opposite side. So we go to the 10th pin bar, go up a peg, and go diagonally in 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and now we're ready to go across. Alright, I'm going to show you this one more time, and then I'm going to go off screen to finish it up because it's not that hard. I'm going to go up at an angle to close that off 4 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then repeat the same process on the opposite side, going up. Get on there, band. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright guys, I think I'm going to leave you here. It's pretty simple using that layout. Just keep in mind that each section from band to band should have 6 pegs. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so continue that all the way up to the end of the loom, and I'll be back as soon as I get that done. Alright everybody, I'm back, and so hopefully your loom looks like this all the way to the end, and that's what the top should look like. Alright, so now we're ready for our next band placement step. And on that this bracelet, it is the white right here. Alright, and I'm going to be using black for this step. And so you want to start on your 5th pin bar, working at an angle to your 6th, and then from your 6th back to your 5th, creating an X. And then you're simply going to, let me get back on screen, simply going to zigzag all the way around the loom to the end. So down and then up and then back down from that same pin, and then up and then back down and then up. And you might want to push them down as you go, because you'll be layering another set of bands on that. And so that's where you're going to stop in that corner, and you're going to do the same thing to the opposite side, just mirror image. So down at an angle, then up, then down at an angle, then up, down, up, down at an angle, and then up at an angle. Alright, so now we're ready for our next band placement step. And in this bracelet, it is the green right here. And I'm going to be using the black Persian for that. And you always want to start off with your X, working from your 5th to your 6th, and then crossing back over from your 6th back to your 5th. And now we're going to work our left side. But before we start our zigzag, we're going to take a long stretch up, or a long stretch down, however you're laying your bands. And now you want to start that zigzag again. So you go down, then back up, then at an angle, up, and then back down, and then up. Right, and then same process, mirror image on the opposite side. So long stretch down, and then work in your zigzag back around. So down at an angle, then up, down at an angle, then up, and then down at an angle, and then up. Okay, so that's the second layer of bands. For the next band placement, you're going to be using the, on this one is the neon blue right there, and I'm going to be using the caramel Persians. If I can get them in there, just give me a second. Let me get my desk reorganized. Alright, again with the X, starting from the 5th over to the 6th, and then crossing back over from the 6th to the 5th. And again, you want to start with the long stretch first, and then the short diagonal, and then the zigzag all the way around. And after you go up, you want to create a long stretch from your 2nd pin up to your 3rd. Okay, same thing, mirror image on the opposite side. So go down at a long stretch, and then work your zigzag around to the edge of your bracelet. And remember, once you go up, you're going to take another long stretch down from that 8th pin bar down to the 9th. Okay, and that's it for that band placement step. And now we're going to be placing the teal right here, and I'm going to be using black again. Again, start with your X's, so 5th to 6th, and then another long stretch down, and then complete the zigzag. And then on that one, you're going to have another long stretch from your third pin up to your fourth. All right. And then mirror image the same thing, opposite side, long stretch first, then work your zigzag. And then another long stretch down. Okay. And then your last band placement step on your fan is going to be the purple right there, and I'm going to be using the black Persian. And again, start with your X, so center, cross that, and then you're simply going to take a long stretch down and then cross that diagonally in the opposite direction from what we would have been doing. Long stretch down on the opposite side, and then again a short stretch. Oop, get on there. All right, so now we're going to be working on the sides, placing our small diamond shapes right here. Okay, and for these, we're going to start with where I placed the red first, and I'm going to be using the white Persian. And what you want to do is start on your second pin bar and go up, then go at a long stretch, down at an angle, and then work a zigzag the remaining side. Oh, that band's going to pop on me. Let me replace that one. Okay. And then diagonally, grab the same band. Okay, diagonally, and then a long stretch up at an angle, and then up. Okay, and you're going to repeat that same process on the opposite side. So on your 9th pin bar, go up, and then down at a long stretch to your 10th, and then work a zigzag. It's working your way up the loom, and now you're going to go at a long stretch up, and then go straight up. All right. And now we're ready for our next band placement step, which is the orange in this bracelet, and I'll be using the dual layer chocolate cupcake. Okay, you want to basically repeat the same process. You're going to go over to the 3rd pin and go up and just create a zigzag all the way around your loom. There we go. And now a long stretch up, and then straight up. Okay. I keep going out of focus. I hope it's not too terribly bad that you can't follow. Go up, long stretch at a diagonal, short stretch across diagonally, then up diagonally, then long stretch up, and then straight up. Okay, and now we're ready for our last band placement step, which is the pinks in this one. And I'm going to be using the camouflage tan. And what you want to do is start on your center pin and just work a diagonal zigzag all the way around. So basically you're going to go down at a diagonal, across, and then up at a diagonal. Alright, and so now we're ready to repeat that same process. I'm going to do it one more time with you, and then I'm going to go off and finish that up. So again, this band placement is going to be the white in this bracelet. So I'm going to be using the black again. And again, you might want to make sure you're pushing them down as you go. So you start with your X's, same as before, and then you simply work your zigzag across your loom. And remember, your first band placement step in each one will not have that long stretch, but every other one will have a long stretch, whether it be at the front or the back or bottom, you know, the end, or at both. Because at times you will do a long stretch on both ends. Okay, so that's that placement step on that side. You repeat the same thing, just mirror image. So down, then up, and then work your way around. And I'm sorry if you hear my kids in the background. Alright, and that's the last one for that one. And now we're going to be working the green, which I used the black Persian. So I used the black Persian again. So again, working from your 5th to 6th at a diagonal, then crossing that back over. Now on this one, you're going to do a long stretch down first, and then you're going to complete your zigzag. Get a couple. And that one just fell right out of my fingers. That's okay. So just complete the zigzag all the way around to the end. Oh, long stretch, guys. Sorry about that. And now the regular zigzag. And I will fix all these bands when I go off screen, but for time's sake, I'm just kind of throwing them on there for you. Okay, and again, the next one's going to be the neon blue, which I used the caramel. Again, starting on your 5th, working across to your 6th, creating your X, then long stretch down, and now your regular zigzag around the loom. And then you go up. I got 3 bands. And then you want to take a long stretch from the 2nd to the 3rd. Okay, long stretch down, and then work the remaining zigzag around to the edge of the loom. Up, and then you're going to go a long stretch down from the 8th to the 9th. Okay, and now for the next one is going to be the teal again. So I will be using the black again. And again, with your X first from the 5th to the 6th, then your long stretch down, then you work your zigzag, and then another long stretch. Okay, so long stretch down, then your zigzag, and then another long stretch down. Okay, and then again, the last step is the purple in this one, and I used the black Persian on that one again. So you create your X, and then you take a long stretch down, and then you do the opposite short stretch. Okay, long stretch down, opposite short stretch. All right, and then you do the sides. I'm going to do that one more time with you, and then I'm going to go off. So we're going to start with the red again, which I used the white Persian. Again, start with your 2nd pin bar straight up, long stretch from your 1st to your 2nd, and then work a zigzag around the remaining sides till you get to the edge. Go up. Instead of going straight up, you want to go a long stretch first. Oops, sorry, bumped the camera. And then up. Alright, same thing, mirror image on the opposite side. On your 9th pin bar, go up, long stretch down, across at an angle, up with your zigzag, then long stretch up, and then straight up. Alright, and so the next one's going to be our orange in this one again. And I'm going to use the cupcake again. Again, up on your 3rd, long stretch from your 2nd to your 3rd, and then work a zigzag. Long stretch up, and then a short stretch. Okay, same thing, mirror image on the opposite side. up, long stretch from your 8th to your 9th to your 8th, sorry. Then short stretch, short, long, and then short again. Okay, and then it's time for the pinks again. And again, I'm going to use the tan. So you start with your center pins, then your long stretch across, and then finish that off diagonally, diagonally down, long stretch across, and then diagonally. Alright guys, I hope I've done enough, so if you're confused you can rewind and catch back up with us at the end, but here's where I'm going to leave you, and I'll be back in just a second when I have the remaining bands placed. Alright, be right back. Alright everybody, I'm back, and so hopefully your loom looks like this all the way to the end, and now we're ready to turn it around. And you may have noticed that I did change up the color or the band placement with the colors, but the placement is the same, so I hope I don't confuse you by doing that. Alright, so now it's time for our cat band. You take 2 of your perimeter color and just double loop them. Alright, and so now it's time for us to start our looming. We're going to go into the 5th pin bar and pull that long stretch band back to itself. And then we're going to do the same thing on the 6th pin bar. Go in, pull that long stretch band back to itself. Now we're going to loop out the X's, pulling the bottom band first. Okay. So now that we've got that looped out, we're going to go into our pin bar, our 2nd pin bar on our 5th, second peg, 5th pin bar, and pull that band back down to itself. This is the only row that gets pulled back down to itself. Okay, and so now we're going to go into our next pin bar and grab that long diagonal and pull it back, stay on there, back to its home peg. Same thing, opposite side. Go in. Oh, I don't. There we are. Grab that long stretch and pull it back to itself. Now we're going to go in from that same pin bar we were just working on and grab that band that's going up and down and pull it back to its home post on both sides. Okay. And now we're going to go in and pull that down to itself on both pin bars. And now we're going to loop the long band back to its home post. It just popped it right off. Alright. And then go in and pull that one back down to itself. Again, going in, grabbing that long stretch up to itself, and going in, pulling the short stretch back to itself. Okay, so now we're ready to loom our next row of bands. So we're going to go in and grab that topmost band and pull it back to itself. Go back in the same peg, grab our long stretch diagonal, pull it back to its home post, and then go in and pull that X back. And now we're going to work our left side all the way around. So you go in to the very next post, grab that topmost band, pull it back to its home post, same peg, pull it back to its home post. Go over one, pull that topmost band back to itself, same peg, pulling that band back to itself. Then you're going to go over to the next pin, grab the topmost band, pull it back to its home post, all the way around. Alright, so now that we've got that side looped up, we're ready to loop our next side. So go into the 6th pin bar, grab the topmost band, pull it back to itself, same peg, back to itself, that should be the long stretch band, and then the X, and now you simply go into the next pin bar working your way across the loom, going one pin bar over every time and grabbing the topmost band, pulling it back to its home post until you have no more bands on that peg to pull back. I know it's kind of confusing, that's why I forewarned you at the beginning that it was going to be a long tutorial, because I'm going to do a couple of these with you just because they're looped kind of awkwardly. Okay, so we're going to go into our next pin bar, grab our topmost band, pull it back to itself, grab that the next topmost band, which should be your long stretch, pull it back, and then your X. And now we're ready for the rest of the left hand side. So again, just working that diagonally across. You should have a diagonal band first going to the left, and then a band going to the top. And now we're ready to work our right hand side. So you go in to that 6th pin bar, grab the topmost band, pull it to the right, grab your long stretch band, pull it back to its home post, and then pull the X back to its home post. Now you're going to go over a peg onto your 7th pin bar, grab the topmost band, which should be going to the right, pull it to the right, and then loop the straight forward band up. Again to the right, and then straight forward. And so now we're ready for our next set of bands. Going to go into the 5th pin bar, pull your topmost band, which should be going to the left, then you got your long stretch band, and then you should have your X band. Okay, and then you go over a peg and you work all those bands back to their home post. Should only be 2. Okay, and now we're ready for our 6th pin bar. So we go in. Oh, I grabbed the wrong band. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so you go in and I grabbed that same one. Come on, straighten out. So you grab that topmost band. Apparently that's just not wanting to cooperate. So I'm going to hold it and move it. Gotta love those on-camera mistakes, guys. Oh, come on, get untangled. Okay, I'll just fix that. Alright, so pull that one to its home post. And then you're going to go in and hopefully you didn't do what I just did. And grab that long stretch diagonal and pull it back to its home post, and then the X back to its home post. Okay, so then you go over one, and then you grab that diagonal band and bring it back to its home post, and then the straight forward band. Alright, and so now we only have our last row of X's and bands. So you go into your 5th pin bar, grab your topmost band, pull it back to its home post, grab your X. Now you're ready for your 6th pin bar, topmost band, and then your X. Alright, so now we're ready to loop out our side diamonds. So you're going to go into that pin bar and take it on a long stretch down. All of these go back to the center. Or to the center. You have 2 that's not going back to their home peg. You do the same thing for the opposite side. Grab that topmost band, pull it back to the center, topmost band back to the center. Alright, everything goes back to the center. And then on the left hand side, let me get back on camera. Going to pull everything back to their corresponding home post. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, and then you do the same thing with the bottom, pulling from that peg. Everything goes back to their home post. Pulling everything out to the perimeter. And then you're going to go into the next peg up and pull every band back to their corresponding home post. Okay, so do the same thing on the right hand side. Go in, grab that topmost band, pull it down, And then every band gets simply pulled back to their corresponding home post. Okay, and now we go into our 9th pin bar and we grab the topmost band and pull it back to its home post. Everything goes back. And I'm sorry if this tutorial is a little confusing, guys. I put it off for a while because I was kind of intimidated by it. It's kind of hard to explain, and I hope you can see it. So just bear with me if it's not too great. I'm still learning, especially on the 2 looms. Okay, so now we're ready to start our X's again, or excuse me, our next layer again. Our topmost band, which should be the long stretch band, back to its home post on each corresponding peg, 5 and 6. All right, and now we're ready for our X bands. Long stretch up, or short stretch, excuse me. And now we're going to go into that same peg and grab those bands and pull them back. And again, this is the only step on your fan that gets pulled back to the perimeter. Okay, and now we're ready to move to our next one. So we're going to grab that long stretch band and pull it back to its home post. And then we're going to pull that short stretch band back to its home post. Okay, so we take our long stretch band back to its home post, short stretch band back to its home post. And then we go in and grab that short stretch and pull it back to its home post. All right, so now we're ready to work our next side. So again, go in and grab that long stretch band, pull it back to its home post, and then pull the short band. Always pulling the long stretch before you pull the short stretch. And then down. And that's it for that one. And now we're ready to move on to our next. Okay, so we go in, we grab that short stretch, and then the long stretch diagonally, and then our bottom half of our X. And that's it for that part. And now we're going to go in and move diagonally on those same pin bars that we did before and just work our way out to the edge, grabbing the topmost band each time and pulling it back to its home post till we work to the edge of the bracelet. And now we're ready to work our opposite side. So we go in and grab that long stretch band, or excuse me, short stretch first, I'm sorry, and then your long stretch, and then the remaining part of your X. And now you're going to work diagonally across the loom. Should be your short stretch first to your diagonally, and then your forward band. So diagonally, then forward. And then your remaining bands get looped to their remaining or corresponding home post. Okay, and now we're ready for our next row. And so we go in to a 5th pin bar, pull our short band, and then it's going to be our long stretch, and then it's going to be the bottom part of our X. Okay, and then we're going to move diagonally across the loom, pulling each band back to their corresponding home post. It should always be a diagonal band followed by a straight forward band. Diagonally and then straight up. Okay, so now we'll go back over to our 6 and work that side. So we go in, pull that short diagonal, the long stretch diagonal, and then the remaining part of your X, and then working your way diagonally across the loom, pulling each band back to their corresponding home post. Again, it should be a diagonal followed by a straight forward band. Okay, And now we're ready to start our next layer of bands. So go in, always grabbing the topmost band. Should be the short band, followed by the long band, followed by your bottom X. And then over a peg, and then loop them out to their home post. Okay, so now we're ready to finish up the remaining part of that X. So pull that one back to its home post. Oh, I twisted them up. That'll be all right. All right, and then the X. All right, so then you got your diagonal band, if it will cooperate, and then your straightforward band. And now you're ready to do the same process on your last row. Pull everything back to their home post, starting with the topmost band. All right, guys, and so now we are ready to move on to our half diamond shapes. Again, pulling that first band to the center, the second band back to its home post, the third band back to its center. And then go in and pull all the remaining bands back to their corresponding home post from that peg. Da-da-da. I'm going to do one more section with you after this one, and then I'm going to leave you because I think 3 would be enough if you're totally lost to be able to rewind and catch it. Okay, and then again, you just work your way around the bands. Oh, I got my hook hooked. And pull the remaining bands back to their corresponding home post. I absolutely love this design, but it's so hard to try to explain, so I hope I'm doing a good job of it. Okay, so now we go back in and we start off with our next diamond, pulling every band back to that center peg so we can use that as a capping band to pull the rest of the bands from. Okay, and then we simply go inside that band and pull the remaining bands back to their corresponding home post. Alright, and now we go into the 9th pin bar and pull all those back to their corresponding home post. So short stretch, long stretch, short, short. Simply looming everything back out. Alright, so now that we've finished with that, we are ready to move on to our next X. I'm going to pause it and try to readjust it a little bit so you can get a better view. So I'll be right back in just a second. Alright guys, I zoomed in and changed the angle a little bit, so hopefully this will be a little bit better if you're having a hard time following it. So here's what we're going to do. You want to go in to your 5th pin bar, grab the topmost band, which should be a long stretch band, and pull it back to its home post. Then you want to go back in and grab that bottom band of your X and pull it back to its home post. Then you do the same thing on the opposite side, long stretch up, and then pull that X back. That creates a little capping band, so we can pull this one back to its home post. Okay? And then you want to go back into that same peg and pull that long stretch band. Oh, grabbing the wrong one. Grab that long stretch band and pull it back to its home post. And now you're going to go in and grab that short band and pull it back to its home post. If I can get it to stay on there. Okay. And now again, we're going to go in, grab that long stretch band, pull it back, go in and pull this short, come on, back to its home post. Thought I had grabbed the wrong band for a second there. and then grab the next one and bring it back down to its home post. I think this is the most confusing step out of the whole bracelet, is getting this part right. Okay, and so we want to go in and grab our band and pull it back down to itself, and go in and grab that diagonal band and pull it up to its home post. Pull that next one down to its corresponding home post. If I can get the camera with the bracelet back on there. Go in and pull that long stretch band back to its corresponding home post. Take the short stretch back down to itself, and then you're going to take the next one back down to itself, and you're done for that row. Now we go back into the 5th pin bar, grab the topmost band, pull it back to itself, grab the next topmost band, which should be the long stretch, back to itself, then the bottom part of the X. And now we move to the 4th pin bar and grab that topmost band, which should be the diagonal band, and pull everything back to their corresponding home post. Then you go into the 3rd pin bar and grab that band and pull it back to their corresponding home post. And looping the remaining bands back to their corresponding home post from that 2nd pin bar. Okay, now we're done with that side. Now we do the right side. So you go in, grab that topmost band, which should be the short diagonal, and then the next one's going to be the long diagonal. And then finish off your X. Get on there. Okay. And now simply working at an angle or at a diagonal, pulling the remaining bands back to their corresponding home post across the loom. Okay, and now we go back into the 5th pin bar and we grab that topmost band, short stretch, then it should be the long stretch and the bottom half of your X. And then you go into your 4th pin bar, grab that topmost band, pull it back to itself, go forward, go to your 3rd pin bar, topmost band, back to itself, and then your straight forward band back to itself. And now you're ready to start on your right hand side. So you go into your 6th pin bar, grab your topmost band, pull it back to its home post, grab your long stretch band, pull it back to its home post, grab your bottom X, pull it back to its home post. Then you're going to go into your next band or your next pin, which is your 7th pin, and pull all those remaining bands, which should only be 2, back to their corresponding home post. And again, everything back to their home post. Okay, so now we're ready for our next one. Let me get back on screen. Go into your 5th, grab your topmost band, short stretch, long stretch, bottom part of your X. And then go over to your 4th pin bar and grab your topmost diagonal band, pull it back to its home post, pull the next one back to its home post. Now you're ready to go back into the 6th and complete that process. Short, long, X. Okay, and then working diagonally across the loom, pulling each band back to their corresponding home post, just grabbing the topmost band first. Okay, and then again go into your 5th pin bar, pulling everything back to their corresponding home post, and then your 6th pin bar, pulling everything back to their corresponding home post. Okay, and then I'm going to do this with you one more time, and then I'm going to leave you. You go in and grab your side bands and pull them back to the center, and then loop everything back to their corresponding home post. This should be fairly easy compared to the other steps in this bracelet. Okay, and then we go into the second pin bar, grab those bands, pulling from that cat band we just made, pull everything back to their corresponding home post. Go up a peg and pull the remaining bands back to their corresponding home post. Oop, and I missed a band right there. See it? Okay, I'm going to add that in, and I'm going to leave you here. I think this one is a fairly easy step. If you're still confused, please just rewind and catch back up with us at our next step, and we will move on as soon as I am done. All right, be back in just a second. All right, everybody, so hopefully your loom looks like this to the very end. And now we're ready to make our next looping process. So we're gonna go in on that first pin bar and pull the diagonal bands back to their corresponding home post. And there are some tensions, so be careful not to break your bands. You might want to go in and let some tension off. I am. Okay, and grab the next one, pull it back. Pull it up, and you want to stop right there and go back onto your 10th pin bar and pull those back to their corresponding home post. Just working your way diagonally, pulling all those X bands back to their corresponding home post. Okay, and now that we've worked our way to the center, we're going to use the cuff stitch by J. Alvarez on this band right here. So you're going to go in and grab that left band, pull it to this post beside it, go in and grab that same band, if I can grab it, there we go, and pull it to the side. And now we're ready to loop out the remaining white bands up all the way to the border. I gotta grab that band. And grab the next one and pull it back to its corresponding home post. And we're going to do the same thing on the right side. So you're going to go in and grab that band and pull it back. Alright, and so now we're ready to loop our next X. Again, go in and grab that band and pull it to the center, and this is going to be the last one that I show you on this one, and then I'll leave you and come back and we'll close it up, and then we're done with this big old monster bracelet. Alright, and we're going to stop right there and pull our next side up. So go into the 10th pin bar and pull it back to the 9th, and so on until we get to the center. And again, we're going to go in and grab that sideways band and pull it back to their corresponding post, and then loop the remaining bands back out to the perimeter. Oops, sorry about the camera, guys. Alright, same thing on the opposite side, pulling each band back to their corresponding home post. Making sure only to grab that one band. Alright guys, so here's where I'm going to leave you. Continue that to the rest of the end, or to the end of the loom, and I'll be right back. Alright everybody, so your loom should look like this, and we are heading for the home stretch. Alright, so now we're going to loop out the perimeter, and you're simply just going to go in and pull those perimeter bands back to their corresponding home post all the way up. And we'll get you to the side and do a few up each side with you, and then I'll come back and show you how to close it off. So just go up, pulling that perimeter band back to their corresponding home post on each post. Go in. Okay, easy peasy. I'm sure some of you have already started looming this up. So you just finish this up to the end, and I'll be right back to show you how to close it off, and then we'll be taking it off the loom. Alright everybody, I'm up to the top of the loom, and you simply just want to close it off by pulling each of the perimeter bands back to themselves, same way you've been doing all the way up to the sides. Pulling that to the center, and then working your right side, going in and pulling each of those bands back to their corresponding home post, closing up that perimeter. Alright, and then what you want to do at the top is go in one side and grab them two bottom bands, keep them on your hook, go into this corresponding post and grab the same two bands and pull them up. And I like to take another band and just pull it through those bands. That way it's easier. And just put a little C-clip on it. And you are done, except for pulling it off. Okay, and I would recommend that you actually take the time to pull it off one peg at a time, because there's a lot of tension on some of these bands, and so I would just go through and pop each band off with a pin bar. Okay, I'm gonna go off, finish that up, and I'll be right back with the finished bracelet. Alright everybody, so I've gotten it off the loom, and hopefully your bracelet looks like this. And so again, this is the Twisted Fan bracelet. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. If you're not following me already, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you're not following me on Instagram, please give me a follow. My name on there is @CarolynHamlin. And again, this is a Twisted Fan bracelet. Thanks for watching, and loom on everybody. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.